I don't have a lot of questions. I just thought you'd like to be introduced and then talk about women being dumb.
Yeah, that's one of my passion subjects. So
Do you think that?
that's-
Are women dumb?
No, of course not. Of course, not. Of course, women aren't dumb. They just think differently. I mean, we can, you see nowadays that we have a lot of men winning Women of the Year. I'll leave it at that.
All right.
Yeah, that will be my synopsis on if a man can win Women of the Year. I'm just waiting for a woman to win Man of the Year. That will then balance out,
Okay.
It's just statistics based.
Yeah.
That's what I'm focused on. That's what matters. Performance.
Well, we just
Results.
lost one of 17.
One of your viewers
yes.
this one.
One out of 17 is gone. So to start with you, who you are, you're a bull, you're a limey, a pummy, a Sassenach. Is that it?
I knew one of those words, and I'm not sure if saying yes to that will get me in trouble. Or a bull.
You come from a place with that's surrounded with golf courses and present dads.
Oh yeah. I'd say that. I grew up. The house I grew up in was called the White House, and it was in Prince's Risborough in Whiteleaf.
All right.
So yeah, you can probably tell by the name of the places. Gives you a pretty good picture of my background.
Do you ever go to Cascais when you miss home?
Yes, yeah. Cash is obviously where my parents have moved to, so they feel most at home there. Of course, it's a bit of a silly question, really. Yeah, I go there just to hang out and just to try and pretend like it's not Portugal anymore.
Yeah. Some good weather for you.
Oh yeah, it's come to join me. That was me. It's Portugal cursing me out, I think, for complaining about it not being England.
So what would you say you live in, like, it's not the city, is it, and this is a difficult question, A, country, B, the sticks, C, the shires, D, the wilds, E, the moors, F, the fens, G, the dales, H, the heath, I, the backwaters, J, the nowheresville, K, the boonies, L, green belts, or M, the hinterlands?
I'd definitely say Shire.
Okay.
Shire is definitely where I'm from. Yeah.
You don't identify with the rest of them?
There was some hinterlands that really appealed to me there.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the Shire just really encapsulates it. It's not currently though, is it?
I'm not, I don't know.
Now I know I'm trying to become live as far away from the city as possible while actually still liking living in a city, which, yeah, not for me. I need chickens.
You live nearby, right?
Yeah. No, I need I've been trying to get chickens here for a bit, but the club don't love that, considering they've been, on the march against the dogs.
Right.
I'm not sure how they'd like to go with chickens. Well, I think it'd be great, I could give them little balences, coats, they'd run around. People find an egg on the pitch in the middle of training.
Yeah, I just say, let them loose, the dogs and the chicken.
People like having dogs in the gym. People don't say, it's like, oh, I wouldn't like it if there was 12 chickens in the gym. We don't know. Yeah. Be like, sell a lot of eggs.
Were there chickens in the White House?
There weren't actually, no chickens in the White House. Donkeys, yes, 2 donkeys. And I went through a litany of having different animals growing up. I had rats as a pet, not just rats in the house. Rats, hamsters, rabbits, giant African land snails, stick insects, snake, and tortoises. My mum killed a lot of them, accidentally.
Yeah.
She kept forgetting that when you had the living insects, giant ones, in their container in the kitchen, if she aggressively sprayed bug spray all over the kitchen, they might die. She forgot this repeatedly, which now looking back may have been less of an accident than I first thought. And I was,
For sure.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Angela, I've killed them again.
Oh, damn. And right now, do you live with some sort of, you live with migrants, is that correct?
Yeah, so I do some charity work. I let some South Americans live in my house, which is great. Allows me to be vaguely anti-immigrant while also doing feeling like I'm not. But yeah, I live with two Argentine South Americans, my best mates, and yeah, managed to wrangle it so that I live with two of my best friends here
Nice.
from the rugby club.
And how do you communicate with them?
With great difficulty. I just speak louder English.
Okay.
I've used it as an opportunity, having lived with these guys from South America, both speak Spanish. I've used it as a wonderful opportunity to not learn Spanish.
All right.
And just buy more furniture with the British flag on it.
Okay.
Yeah, and just try to colonise and annoy them. That's been my attitude towards. What are you doing?
All right. So moving on. You're now a retired rugby player and a retired gym manager. You have a lot of time on your hands.
Yeah, I've managed to make it so that I
There was no question there. Sorry.
There wasn't a question. Oh, fair enough.
But no. Go ahead.
Yeah. I still play rugby. I've just managed to make it so that I no longer earn anything for it. But just the general troubles of living a life where everything hurts all the time. For that pleasure, I now do it completely for free. As a smart man. That's about how to describe my business acumen.
And how was your can you take us through your career so far?
Well, yeah.
How did you get into rugby?
I got into rugby because I enjoyed playing with worms and mud.
All right.
When they were trying to make me play football, and they were like, he likes to play in mud, he should go and play rugby. That's sort of a normal thing for British kids.
Because it's always raining. So
yeah,
mud.
It's always raining, lots of mud, love mud, great fun.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, it's a synthetic pitch here, which makes me sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it wasn't for mud, I probably would be even less athletic than I am, because mud led me to rugby. And I realised you could get quite muddy playing rugby, really. So,
Were you a big child?
not particularly. I was pretty normal-sized child until I discovered the gym, which I found rugby first. I found that at school, the bullies that would beat you up, you could beat them up in rugby, and then they'd stop bullying you. It's great for that, because rugby is essentially just bullying.
Yeah.
It's bullying each other on a pitch and being mean. So yeah, that was my way around that. And then I only really got good when I realised I could go to the gym, and didn't like being less strong than anyone else. So I took that very seriously. We had a really good S&C coach when I was young, called James Brooks. I used to play at Wasps. He was like a coach as well. He was actually forbidden from having any social engagement because he was such a lunatic, allegedly. I don't actually know any of the stories. Our other coaches, who are relatively not tame human beings, would say he's not allowed to be anywhere near children.
Okay. But does he not like them, or does he like them?
No,
too
he
much?
just has. I think he had a reputation of being very, very unreliable after a few beers, and yeah, we just had mysterious stories about him.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a S&C coach, and I really enjoyed training with him. I remember one time I got bullied for not being cool and not smoking with the cool kids, just training. I once went to train him, not having realised that earlier on in biology, the guys had written "I love you, Brooksy" on my leg, which is his name. And I realised halfway through that I've been training with this giant, like, "I love you, Brooksy," writing on my leg, which was...
That's when you became really close.
Yeah, that's when we became really close. Started going to his house. They started combing my hair, saying, "Shh, don't tell anyone about this."
Okay.
Yeah, that was sort of my introduction to lifting and rugby, really.
And then, what was between that and you playing professionally? What's the...
So, years of school where we were rubbish and we'd lose every game by like 100 points. And I'd be the only one that really cared, which is a bit sad. No one else really cared. I was just really passionate about losing by less than, taking it down to 80-point losses, which was nice. And then I played rugby. I tried to become professional for a few years, like seriously professional for a few years. Took everything very seriously. And then a friend of mine, when I was in Australia playing, a friend of mine said, "Do you want to come and play in Portugal?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, get paid to play." I'd just come back home. My parents were just getting annoyed at me for not doing anything, so I was like, great, I'll leave and go and get paid to play over here. And yeah, then I played here for a year and went to New Zealand. And then got called up to play for the Czech Republic, which was a terrible idea. Fun, but I don't
Why?
regret it, because it meant that I dequalified myself to play for Portugal, having not the foresight I was going to stay in Portugal. Played against Portugal and lost both times. Second time very badly. It's always difficult when you lose against people you play every week who you know aren't that good, and then they're beating you by 90 points, like, damn, I'm at school again. Brilliant.
Yeah.
They're turning up to training the next day, being like, we lost by 94
So was that
points.
exclusively like a bad move from you?
What's that?
Was it a bad move? Like,
Yeah, so basically in rugby you
could
can...
you have stayed and then played on the team that was to
Yeah.
win?
Yeah, essentially, if I hadn't have played for Portugal, I could have qualified. I hadn't played for Czech, I could have qualified to play for Portugal, which would have been cool and nice to sort of be involved and play at a much higher level, like they've now obviously achieved. But it's fine. I'm very happy with how it's worked out. It's good to be involved and have all these boys around all the time. Yeah.
Nice. So back to being a gym owner. Is that something that women are looking for?
Well, I think women are mainly looking for people that don't own crypto.
Okay.
Or talk about it. So that's my main advantage, is I don't do that. As far as a gym goes...
You don't do crypto?
Not anymore.
Ah,
Do women like gym owners? I think it's better than saying you're a personal trainer. That's a vaguely cursed thing to say. I'm not sure why. Well, I do know why. It's because when you go to a normal gym and you see personal trainers, you figure out why. So yeah, gym owner is just a bit more catchy. You know, I don't tell them it's just two containers with a little bit of sheeting in the middle.
Yeah.
We don't go into details, but you know,
It's
it looks good in
outdoors.
some pictures. It's outdoors. Walls. Who needs walls? God, I just like to, you know, free the mind. Don't box yourself in with walls. Really good training tool, turns out, walls. Really useful. Love a wall.
Yeah.
People come to the gym. It's like, oh, do you have a wall? I mean, a fucking wall. Yeah, apparently walls incredibly useful. Turns out, who would have thought it?
It's good. Yeah.
We don't get. I mean, we get people calling up sometimes asking about, oh, do you have a leg press? It's like, no. We don't get them calling up asking about walls, but maybe I should come up with it. No, and no walls either. None. Can't lean on anything.
All right. So besides that coach of yours, what was his name?
Brooks. James
Brooks.
Brooks. Oh, you're going on.
Are there any other coaches that you remember that like made an impact on you?
Yeah, definitely. So he was an excellent coach. Very good at everything. Because he was very good, just like good gymnastic stuff. He was strong and just had a very good all-round base of everything, which sort of made me see quite early on that, you know, you don't just want to be a powerlifter. I don't just want to be a weightlifter. It's having that all-round base is really important. Who else? James Hedges was a guy who I was actually studied in the same year as. He was a good little powerlifter, and with him I trained at like a Plymouth Performance Gym, which was now it's like kind of fancy and there's classes and everything. It was just this old building off the roughest street in Plymouth, where it was full of basically police officers, military and criminals, and everyone was ridiculously strong. And yeah, it was a very good place to train, to make you realise you're not very strong.
Yeah.
And everyone there was very athletic, did lots of different sports. Lots of people from there who helped me. My development, S&C wise, had some good lecturers. Sam Portland was a good sprint coach I had just before I moved out here. I'm trying to get him to come out here and do a seminar, but it'd be nice if we have some good weather for that, so maybe I'll reach out to him and some. But in terms of sprinting, athleticism, how to actually train people to be faster, running mechanics, that's really important, and I'm very grateful I had that. I was coached by Margot Robbie, who's quite a famous sprint coach. Very different philosophy, a lot of which I wouldn't necessarily agree with now, but still very useful. I think it's even if you have them like the most strange coach. Maybe now thinking of like Joel Seedman and Instagram coaches, that's not correct. Even a very different coach to what you're used to can be useful to learn things from. And then you can just go away and say, don't agree with that, but done it.
Yeah.
And I know why, rather than just hating it for no reason. Just stop doing that, can't you?
And so, did rugby come first and then exercise science, or how was that for you? What made you go down that road and now become a non-personal trainer or whatever?
Rugby sort of came first, and everything came around rugby. I was never great at. I was like the worst version of a nerd ever. Like in class, I would sit at the front and answer all the questions and ask all the questions, and then I just would fail all the homework and not do it. So I get good like grades as we go along, but I just fail all the exams because I'm very bad at doing stuff when I'm not there. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, the least cool type of nerd ever. Just you seem like a nerd, but aren't actually smart or get good grades. So I just developed towards sort of physical education, training and sports, and rugby was what I was really interested in, and everything sort of came out of that really.
And was the idea you had of a future, was it to own a gym, or was it to be a professional forever?
I mean, being a professional pro was definitely something that I'd have liked to have done, but it's sort of like, it's one of those things where it's very different here. In the UK, there's so many people that play rugby and rugby that getting selected is, if you're pretty average-ish like me, a lot of it's down to luck. Like who your dad knows, who your coach is. Obviously,
if your dad comes from the
main thing,
White House,
yeah. Well, you think that would help? If your dad's in the White House. Sure, but whereas here it's much more reachable. It's much more attainable. You have like this, the top level is much closer, and in the UK it's just huge sport. But yeah, I wanted to do that. But once you grow up and you realise that it's not quite the career you think it is, and especially if you don't make it all the way, it's a hell of a sacrifice, hell of a toll on your body.
Yeah.
A lot of other things that you're like, is this worth what I'm being paid to do this? And I've sort of gone through that realization the last few years, where it's gone from I'm professional, but it's taking a hell of a toll on my body. I'm not necessarily being cared for in the way I want to be cared for, in terms of like physically, not emotionally. But then you're like, oh well, maybe this isn't really the right thing. If you make it, fantastic. But the halfway house isn't great, and it's very similar in S&C, which was what I did afterwards, where it's really great. S&C is kind of a career for people who didn't quite make it in sport. Mm-hmm. So it's like sort of the losers club. That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah. I'm sure they'll really like that. Some of my friends in S&C. No, that's very mean. But it's like S&C is usually someone who's not quite made as a professional athlete, but's been very interested in the training and has done. That's a fair assessment, I think. Mm-hmm. But losers club's more catchy. I'll try and make a group and see if I can add them on Facebook to that.
How do we?
Or a powerlifter. Again, another losers sport.
Yeah.
But that's why a lot of S&C is powerlifters, because powerlifting is the ultimate losers sport. It's like, I didn't make it a sport where I could have been paid for it. Let's go and do one where I will get no recognition or money, and I can coach people who I can sort of be like, oh, I'll touch a good athlete today. That's powerlifters.
For sure, I like that. Honestly,
powerlifting is a wonderful sport. It's really good for the less able.
How do you then parse out if the S&C coaches are basically failed athletes? How do you parse them out? How do you tell a good S&C coach from a bad one?
You can be a good S&C coach and a failed athlete. That's kind of the point. If they were successful, they wouldn't be good at S&C, because if you're a very good athlete, you're probably there despite your training. Whereas if you are sort of the less good athletes, you're probably there because of your effective training. So being the ones that didn't make it means they usually have tried everything and experimented the most with their training, making them the best for that job in the losers club.
Right. It's a great deal of honor without
Yeah. And
the money, the women,
yes,
the
yeah,
glory.
exactly. It's a really long internship where you don't get paid and you do tons of work, to then a very poorly paid job where you do the same tons of work forever, around people that get paid a hell of a lot more than you all the time.
And I've seen some pretty stressed coaches too. You would think it's like a relaxed job, but I've seen some pretty people who are pretty.
Oh yeah, I
on
mean,
edge.
once you kind of, and I wanted to do it at one point. Once you realise the sort of actual ins and outs, like unless you're in America getting a really good salary at some NCAA sports team or over there, it's not a very well paid job. You have to be really passionate about it and do it. And I'm, that's not really my vibe. I prefer to be a bit more efficient. Do things I want to do more of the time, not have the fixed structure of the sport teams.
And then a lot of it is working with kids, I guess, right? Because
I mean, yeah, other people's kids.
yeah,
Worst type of children.
yeah.
But yeah, it depends. Like, youth coaching can be really good, and good to do. But then again, there's also
No, you can choose not to. But
Yeah.
So much of it,
and you'll have to do it
is
to get
to
good.
nurture.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, and then you can take credit for what puberty did, which is always nice.
Yeah.
It's always one of the best coaching things. Is look at the puberty on this guy.
Look at the
look at the
size.
puberty on this kid. Started training when he was 10, and now he's 20, and he's jacked. I did all that.
Yeah.
That's one of the best. I always like that with PTs. Their before and after picture is puberty. It's quite nice. Oh, look at me! I was chubby at 14, and then all of a sudden I'm jacked at 20. It's like, what the hell happened to you?
That's great.
Yeah.
What else? I had here. Are you related to Roy Kent?
Who's Roy Kent?
I think it's a football player.
No, I don't think. It could be. Well, unlikely. My surname's a lie. So
Is it?
yeah, no, it was changed. My grandfather changed it from Vidrav to Kent because after the war.
From what?
Vidrav. Probably saying that wrong. It's Czech last name.
Uh-huh.
After the war, he found out that everyone was a little bit racist in the UK
Yeah.
towards German-sounding names. So he met the Duke of Kent and was like, "I love that," and so he changed it to Kent. So very unlikely I'm related to anyone named Kent.
So you're actually like a fake one.
Oh yeah, legitimately fake.
And was your grandmother
Grandfather was Czech. Yeah.
okay?
Big
And
grandmother.
everyone else is
Yeah, I did a DNA test where I
a Pami or a Limey.
Limey. I did a DNA test where you swab your cheek and you give your data to China so they can make a bioweapon and kill you in 20 years.
Uh-huh.
But they, told me that I've got a disappointing amount of French in me, which I was
Right.
really upset by, and went home to my parents. Was like, one of you's been lying.
Yeah.
And I found it was my dad when another part of my family also gave their DNA to the bioweapon manufacturing company. And
So
found
it
out they
wasn't
were
a
all
war
English.
thing. It wasn't a war thing.
Yeah, it
when
was a
you
war
were-
thing. Yeah,
Okay.
my grandfather fled the Nazis to fight in the RAF, and then
Okay.
he was a navigator and bombing the U-boats, and I think he got.
My grandfather flew for the RAF.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Where's he from?
First
From-
Portuguese guy to
Really?
fly a jet.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, my grandfather had a record of 4 submarines and I think 8 whales.
What?
When they were trying to bomb the submarines. And you're not going to take any chances, are you? It's just you go, yep, fire, unload.
And then
Ooh, that submarine's bleeding a lot, isn't it? Ooh,
oh,
there's a very sad-looking baby submarine swimming away. Yeah. Yeah. Then he got captured somewhere. I was in a prisoner of war camp where he learnt all his business acumen. Really took that into it's one of the best. Like now, if you had like prisoner of war camps on LinkedIn, it would be like 10 things I learned from prisoner of war camp and how you can apply it to your business.
And what
yeah.
was it? What kind of things did he learn?
Oh, so when he did open his business, it was things like making sure that staff members only had a rationed amount of toilet paper per day. He decided that all of the windows were too low because people could look out of them, they would get distracted. So he rebuilt the building to raise all the windows so people couldn't look out of them. Yeah, things like that, along those lines. Just efficiency.
So
you know.
just overall relaxed guy.
Yeah, again, like taking the prisoner of war camp efficiency and just putting it into to free market. Yeah, I think it was slightly better paid.
Nice mix of genes there, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, for lack of better questions, so what is what does the future look like for you in
it's a
terms of
Very good question.
the gym you own, and everything else?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a very good question. Well, I would love to find somewhere else I could open another gym with maybe a couple more walls. Have a nice little partnership with this one. Yeah, just try. I think people want to be outdoors and outside a lot, and you have this gap in a place where there's good weather of. Do you want to spend an hour and a half inside in a gym again if you've already been inside all day? I think it would be nice if there was a lot more outdoor places to train properly. You can train with weights, you can train with machines. I think that's appealing to a lot of people, especially in a place that allegedly has good weather. It's the one job Portugal has is to be sunny, and it's been what?
Yeah.
Had about 40 days of rain this year?
Well, I think it'll run out of rain.
Yeah, it's got to run out. That's how it works. Yeah. I know, I've read on the internet it's 50 days of rain a year, and we've had about 30. So it's got to stop and then no more. Or I'm writing a letter to Costa. Is he still Prime Minister?
Who knows?
No? Yeah, fair enough.
Um,
I'd like to just grow the gym, work with the club. I have a dream of making this a lovely performance facility with recovery stuff over there, nice, clean changing rooms, and a place you can come, do some rehab, get some physio for people in the day, have everything sort of performance-based you could wish, and then at the night the club use it for their players. But that's a work in progress. A lot of fun politics to get that done.
all right. Well, I guess that's it. That's all I have. By the way, Anthony is the owner of Lisbon Strong, which is the kind of the sponsor for this podcast.
Yeah,
because you let
allegedly.
me record here.
Yeah, I'll sponsor you more. You've been resistant to my movements of greater help, but hopefully that will change.
Yeah.
And we're going to try and do it in a different place everywhere. We'll do some in a tree, some podcasts in a tree, some podcasts in the forest over
Yeah,
there.
it's not challenging enough to do this.
Some could be in the middle of a game of rugby. Just put it in there and see what they do. Have people running. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Actually, if I knew something about rugby, which I know basically nothing, we could do some stuff.
Actually, have you thought about doing it on the top of the thing like that?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
I've thought about that.
Right now. The only issue is that I
Have
I
a camera
couldn't really
further
do
away.
a commentary with it. There's nothing for me to. I go like, oh, that guy's big.
Oh
huh?
no, but you could just do the. You could go there for the podcast. Have a nice view. It might be a nice view at the side.
Oh, that's true.
That was the idea. Yeah.
And they never use it.
Yeah, I'm sure they won't mind if they don't find out.
All right.
My main hobby is they won't mind as long as they don't know.
That's it.
Nice. I hope I don't incriminate myself too much.
No, you didn't.
Have you ever watched Finn versus the Internet?
No, I recognize the words, but no.
It's this dark-haired guy, English guy, who just insults his guests. I'll send you some videos.
You showed it to me the other
Yeah,
day
maybe I
with
have.
this guy that has a podcast.
Yeah,
That
with
guy.
Chris Willicks. I thought you were going to go like that at me for a bit. I was like, this is going to be so funny. Please.
No, I wasn't fully.
That would be quite funny to just bully people for a
I'll
bit.
try.
I think you could do that with
I'll
Andy.
study him.
You could do that one with Andy. Just where you bully him for being.
With Andy?
Yeah, I think you could do like that kind of style with him. Be like, so I find it amazing, Andy. Like you know, you have like most exclusively female clients, which considering you're like, you know, basically a pacey Shrek with bad teeth. I just don't know. I don't know how you do it.
But it hurts me because Andy is really a good guy. So
Well,
I
oh,
would
he's
be
amazing. I
like,
know. Oh yeah, I also
no,
abused him.
totally. But
I was
I
abusing him.
can't. There's like a thing about the Britons, which is that
How mean can you be to us without us having a little?
yeah, I don't know if you guys are gonna break, and then
I don't think we're pretty resistant to it.
because you're so nice that I'm like I can't. I'm constrained now.
Constrain my. I'm that nice. I didn't know I was that nice.
I think so. With some, if I'm talking to like Eastern Europeans, whatever,
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, they're
it's
directly
easier.
mean. We're just
Yeah.
indirectly mean a
Yes.
lot of the time. Yeah. I could, and he missed a session last week, so I was just giving him texting abuse to him for being
He did,
pathetic.
huh?
Yeah. And I was asking if he would have like some AI system to give that to his clients. As part how that would actually be like a. And I was thinking for like personal training clients, because you know if someone's being a bit soft and missing, you don't want to be the guy who's like the motivational annoying guy to get them to come. But also,
You don't want to be the motivational guy.
yeah, that's not my job. It's like, oh, you don't want to come? I don't want to come. Bye. I'm not going to lift the weights. You are. I was like, you could have like a little, because he's trying to automate a lot of his business, I think. And you could have it so like, how abusive would you like your personal trainer to be to you? Sort of scale the like how mean do you want it to be, which I think would be quite a funny thing to play with.
That's a good. That's a question that I could have for you. Like, what do you see like now? I don't think anyone is really can really guess. I've had some experiences with now recently trying to create a business and creating some stuff. And just as an example, we went on Fiverr to buy a logo from a guy, and he sent back like a cartoonish, strange figure. And then my partner went on some AI tool and did the logo, right? And so I don't think really with music, with everything, there's gonna be so much AI stuff. Where do you think is it gonna be for this in this area?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you so with like especially online training, the thing that I find interesting is there's direct copying of other people, where people have literally just ripped off other people's programs and they do their own based on that. And then there's sort of indirect copying where we learn from people and we then take their ideas, which is obviously fine. But when AI can do that, you can then like I'm interested to know how much AI can copy someone else's work or someone else's training influence. Like, could I type in Francisca Hessner's training style program and get your training style program from an AI? In which case, it's killed online training. Like, it will kill any. You still need to have like individuals for it to base it from. It's already out there. It's already done. Like, it's sort of you're playing off the the lack of specific education of a client, perhaps not knowing how to use AI, which I think is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller for them to get it to write them a really good program and tweak it and tweak it. People are going to get better at that because they can write you really good training programs. The thing we can bring is kind of like today with Agnes. She came and then I didn't just sort of went through what she was going to do, and then I look at her, listen to her feedback, what hurts, what doesn't, and give her feedback and adaptation based on that. Physical, like sort of making sure she's in the right position to feel certain muscles, certain exercise. That's the thing we can really add. And I think that's so important. And I've never wanted to do online stuff. I don't like the idea because I'm just like, if I'm not there with people, I'm just not really like, I'm not there. But when I'm there, I'm 100% and I'm involved. So I that suits me. Yeah, I think like AI will really kill online coaching because the more knowledge people get how to use it, the more they can. He's fine. He's fine. He's got a visa. It's okay.
I think it's much more different of a different sort of activity, professional, whatever, than people make it out to be. Personal training and online. I think online it becomes much more of this accountability, nutrition, lifestyle, than exactly just the training, because it is obvious that it's just much better to train people in person, right? I just
It's not feasible, and it's your time as well. It ends up being, it's the problem with that is that you only have so many hours in a day, and you can only train so many clients, generate so much income. But yeah, it's really crazy to see how our AI is gonna change training online. I'm not necessarily the best person to talk to, but I can't see it not being very good at it. The same way it's very good at writing scripts and the speed at which. Yeah. And then we'll just get a robot that can touch people, and in a training professional way.
right. No, it does trigger me in the sense that, and I was just talking to Manel about this, that sort of then what online coaches do is that they reduce it to, listen, if you're a coach wherever it is, no matter if it's exercise or not, ultimately it's about accountability, about having someone there to answer questions, to tell you you're going in the right direction, etc. But I think I will talk from, speak for myself. I came to this from the point of view of, yes, liking people and wanting to help people for sure, and having this impact that, the coaches you just listed, for example, now have on you forever,
Yeah.
right? You'll always have this.
Yeah.
It's like a parent or a family. You
Yeah.
always have
Yeah.
this thing in the back of your mind. It's like every time you look at a bar, every time you sprint, you'll remember this person. There's this always this trigger that reminds you of this, and this is, you know, m- uh, my best version of being immortalized or whatever. I like that as a coach,
It's a nice little idea. Yeah.
being
Yeah.
like a, but it was also to optimize stuff from the neuromuscular point of view. So once that's taken away, I'm like, I'm accountability, like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah. I know you're just sort of like kind of a nanny,
yeah, it's
training
okay.
nanny.
I can be
It's a
that.
good brand,
I'd
training
be a
nanny.
great one.
Yeah.
I think that is really useful, but I do feel like I don't know how to stay relevant in the field of
Yeah. I mean,
muscles, and
yeah. I mean, it's
because nutrition is also easier to deal with, right?
yeah.
In the sense that you can just spit out some calories and macros
And the
and
thing is, it's like
adjust.
you can be so good at muscles and anatomy movements in theory, but then you can still be rubbish at actually coaching someone, and seeing how they move, interacting with them, and then listening off the right cues and helping them in the right way to achieve the appropriate task. That's the thing that is it won't be taken away for a very long time, and hopefully more and more people will be leaning towards that, because there's the old school part of the personal training where you should be the best part of their day for most people. If they're not doing other sport, or they're just they're just living a relatively normal life, that's what you should try and be, is the most interesting best part of their day, and whether it's through just what you do or how you interact with them, how you are. And I think there's a bit of a stigma around, which you definitely go through a phase where people are like, if you go through like, I want to train athletes, this sort of early, I want to train athletes, I want to train people. And then it's like, oh, I don't want to train GPP. Oh, I don't want to train. And then you sort of go through and you're like, actually, I don't mind. I can do both.
Can you just say what it is for people who don't know?
General,
Population?
general population. Gen pop clients, not GPP.
GBP is
GPP is general physical preparation.
what they sometimes
General
do.
physical preparation, which is what they do. Gen pop clients, they're actually wonderful to train. They'll probably give you the most back of any of your clients. Because if you're training an athlete and you have a relatively good background in sports and athlete, they might not give you much back. Whereas if you have a client who's in a very different aspect of work, whether they're in marketing, whether they manufacture things, you'll obviously have conversations with them, and they will give you a lot more back that you can learn from, than just training athletes. And that's part of it, is you want to have a nice relationship with them, where you're fun to talk to, fun to train with. That's a massive part of it. And also with some of my clients, one of the things that I want them to realize is okay, yeah, we can be doing this 12-week transformation, but realistically, I want you to have the mindset of let's just train for a long time. For like however old you are, if you're 45, 55, let's just get into the routine of lifting weights regularly. It doesn't have to be with me every time. I want to guide you and help you do it, but that's what we need is consistently doing this for a while, because it has immense benefits. You don't need to list them off, but so that's the main thing. I can do like a short transformation, but I want to be with someone who's just there to want to keep training, keep getting better.
Yeah, something I've been saying, which is just a rewording of the psychology. Is it self-determination theory? What is it?
Yeah.
Which is like, and I told people before. Recently, I started doing it like last year, whatever. Which is like my goal here is for you to go from I go to this place where there are these people do these things and I do those things too. Two, I go to a specific place, my place, where I go work with my gear, the gear I work with, to do my thing.
Yeah.
It might sound silly, but
Oh
it
no,
is really
but
like those weirdos at the gym
yeah.
Y bars to this is what I do. As they're talking to their friends or whatever,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
go, this is not something that I find weird anymore. It's something that I even talk about it like something that's
Yeah. Yeah, it's
mine. It's
instead of
mine.
being like they sort of instead of externalizing it, they internalize themselves into it.
Yeah.
Which is definitely definitely nice. And yeah, I like the way you put that. That's a
Because if
definitely a good thing for Gen Pop people to
yeah,
way of them to think of it.
a client a good client?
Well,
I've only hated profoundly like two, I think, ever.
yeah, what makes a good client? I think a good client is someone who treats you on a very like even level. Like if you're training clients that have a lot of money, sometimes they don't necessarily treat you at the same level. Even if you're flexible with them, you change the times. If they treat you as like we're on the same level here. I'm not better than you because I might be able to lift more than you, and you're not better than me because I can make more money than you. That's the thing that makes everything else flow and be better. We're on the same level. We have different stuff because I think sometimes, and I'm thankful to have clients, some clients come in with the attitude of, oh, who's this guy who's going to teach me how to do stuff? And like, oh, just it's sort of like you're not on the same level as them, which is very silly. I think that's the most important thing. And from that, everything can flow. And because it would be the exact same thing if we were like, oh, you can't bench 80 kilos. Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, because in here you're definitely the master, right? You're the guy that's in.
yeah, yeah.
You're in control of every variable, but at the same time, people can treat you as if you're a specialist or as if you're a guy who
Only
does
does that.
sewers or
Yeah,
who
yeah,
does.
yeah. And this isn't something that's. I think that's the main thing is just having that everyone's on an even level, which most people are pretty good at.
It's a sensitive thing, like to go. Francisco is my personal trainer, or Francisco is my personal trainer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a very subtle difference. Yeah, and I think that's what maybe I'm describing. I think makes the worst clients is clients that don't
For
do
sure.
that, rather than what makes the best clients. I think best clients you get along with, you understand each other and got a good level of compromise and respect. I have some that might, good communication, not going to disappear, not just going to cancel, not show up, and yeah, working together happy on the same page. I think that's what makes a good one.
And do you think if you do your best work, do you think they should leave?
That is a good question.
How do you see retention or lack thereof?
I think it depends on them. Like have a certain client who could train himself quite well, but I know he only trains with me. Can be like, oh, can we maybe just do like a bit of this, like just do these like some stuff at home, like when we can't make it, and he's like, I'm just doing this with you. He doesn't say that, but the look in his eye says that.
Yeah.
So it depends. You want to teach people, and you want them to understand why they're doing stuff. But again, it's not a course. So it's up to them. I think that they are the deciding factor in, like, you know, how long they stay with you. If they just want to learn how to do this stuff really well and do it and crack on, then it's a teaching course. We get to the end result, and it's not going to really change how you coach it, is it? I want everyone to learn how to move better, how to just interact with other objects better. That's what we do, is we all just interact with other objects in better ways. And yeah, there's no...
And it is different, right? Because if someone comes and says, listen, I want to be the best all-round athlete I can be, you're like, dude, we got 3 years of shit to do. This is fine.
And for how long? For how long are you going to be the best athlete you're going to be?
Yeah.
Like, you know, once you've had clients for years, there's this realization of, okay, once you're a bit older, once you're in your 40s, you might be able to get stronger for a long time, but you might not. You might get really strong here, and then something's going to happen, life changes are going to happen, you're going to drop back down. And then you need to get back up to a certain level where you're happy, and then maybe improve this other physical characteristic, maybe get fitter. Like it's a balance, and it's ever changing. So the idea that you can sort of bish, bosh, bash, they've learned it, they're gone, they can, and they can do their own research, they can learn what they want. But it's for someone that has a whole nother career, a whole different vibe, it's kind of a limited perspective of the amount of things they might need to learn
Their
and
goals
do.
will change.
Yeah, because
we'll have to adapt.
life's going to happen. You might lose your leg in a car crash. You know, then everything's changed. Like who knows what's going to happen?
Calisthenics.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
what's
Yeah.
gonna
You're gonna get good at tips, buddy. Let's think of this as a blessing in disguise. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's life changes, and you know, like you said, I want to be the most athletic I can be. You have to kind of set expectations for how long. Like, we want to get there. Yeah, we're going to do all these things, and we want to maintain a high level, but we're probably going to go up here, and then it's going to come down here to be realistic, because you've sacrificed a load of stuff to get here.
Yeah.
Are those things coming back in your life? Like, you have to be realistic with that stuff. And so, you know, we also want to get to a point where you can be the guy like, back in the day I bench press, you know, still can't say 180, so I've got to get there. But yeah, that's sad.
Well, I think that's it. Women are dumb. And a bit of coaching, a bit of training talk.
Yeah.
I think that's about.
Nice. Good.
Thank you for coming.
No problem.
For doing this.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you for only disturbing half the time.